Let's get to it, family. How's it going? How's it going? Back at it again with another reaction video. I kind of like doing these, to be honest. The last one I did was my first one. I'm still trying to get used to the editing and all that stuff. But I like doing them. As long as they're educational, I'll keep doing them. But I ran across this video called Behind the Glass by Zilla. I guess they're sponsoring this. But I like the way how this journalist went out into the field to kind of give us a grasp of, where ball pythons come from, where they live at, where you can find them, because, they just don't live in, an anthill or just a hole in the ground. You might find them in both, or swimming in the river, who knows. But let's get to this video. Let's break it down. I did watch a little bit of it, so we're not gonna watch the video in its entirety, but you can go, look it up. I might have it in a link, I might not, I don't know. Yeah, you should go watch it in its entirety. It's something good to watch on, but let's get to it, family.
Beyond the Glass.
Beyond the Glass. Sugar-free.
It's a beautiful morning here in West Togo, and we're looking for what is arguably the most popular pet snake today, the ball python. When most people picture ball python habitat, they picture that. That's actually a misnomer. You get caliber pythons in that thick jungle bush, you get gaboon vipers, you get a lot of cool stuff. But the ball pythons actually prefer this more open, grassy habitat with varied shuffled rocks and scrub.
All right, so like I said in my last video, ball pythons, they don't need 100 yards or miles of a habitat. They like those tight, confined spots. I believe in the wild, you might find them in termite hills, you might find them in certain holes, but from my understanding, they don't travel like that all day. They're not an apex predator. They can get picked off easily by, local tribes looking for food, wild dogs, tigers, lions, you name it, eagles. But they do help the rodent population out there, at least keep that down to a minimum for those tribes or farmers that live in that area. But like I said, they don't need that much room to, you don't need a big old cage or, 70 rack for all of your ball pythons. Maybe the females do get big. I got a female that's like 1,900 grams right now, and I need her in a 70 rack just because I want her to have enough room to move around like she wants to move around. But anyways, let's get back to it.
Balls like scrub. So we're gonna look for ball pythons and end that myth and show you where they really come from. It's gonna be a long day, lots of hiking ahead, but should be fun. It's really cool to be in ball python habitat. That was actually the first exotic snake I ever kept. I was 7 years old, bought one from a mall. Here I am years later, actually in their home. I can't tell you how exciting this is.
That's kind of cool that he said that. Seemed like he's been doing it for a while, but I remember my first time going out to buy a ball python. I was afraid of snakes, afraid of spiders. I went to my local pet store, actually to buy a tarantula, and the guy working there, he was like, hey, what are you looking for? And I told him, hey, I'm looking for something that I'm afraid of because I want to overcome that fear. And I think I'm looking for a tarantula. And he was like, a tarantula? He's like, what else are you afraid of? And I was like, ball pythons. I'm scared of spiders, and I'm afraid of snakes. And he's like, oh, I got something for you. He went, brought me out a normal ball python. He was like, here, put this around your neck. At first I was like, ooh, He's like, this one doesn't bite. He's like, well, it could bite, but this one here, he's not like that. And I was like, okay. Put him around my neck, and I was sold. I think I bought him for like $50, $60. It was a male. Brought him home, and I right in YouTube, ball pythons, and all these crazy videos came up, these morphs. I was like, oh my goodness. I saw a banana, and I was like, I need that one. And then I looked up how much they cost, and I was like, I can never afford that. $100 for a snake, $150 for a snake. For me, that was a lot of money back then. But I got addicted. It was crazy. Let's get back into the video, fam. Hey, is that a snake? Is that a snake?
He almost got away. Okay.
Nah, it's a lizard. Come on, man. Show us ball pythons.
So this is the red-headed gamma.
All right. We're going to give the red-headed gamma some shine, but I got to fast forward this video.
Whoa, check this out. So this castle behind me is a termite mound. These termite mounds are a metropolis on the mountain. The rocky outcroppings are great for some gecko species, some scorpion species, and the termite mounds are actually a common place to find ball pythons. These spires on the termite castle, that's how the termite mounds thermoregulate. They help control the temperature. They're also incubators. A lot of monitor species will break right in, lay their eggs in, the termites will fix the hole, and now they've got an armored incubator. And when the babies are born, they've got termites to eat. I mean, it's amazing. From this side, you can really appreciate how massive these things are. But all of its residents are probably inside sleeping safely right now, so we're going to continue down that way where it looks a little lush and greener, and maybe we'll get some daytime activity.
All right. Termite mounds. Like I said, look like ball pythons, a barrel in a termite mound. That might stay there for months at a time, eating whatever comes in, whether it be a baby lizard, I guess. I don't think ball pythons just eat rodents. I think they could eat lizards if that was something that was introduced to them out in the wild. They probably catch rodents that venture off in there. But I know ball pythons, well, I don't know. I know ball pythons don't really like to go out and look for food. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm pretty sure they do. But it's probably safer if they hang out in that termite mount, I guess that's what it's called, or they, the hole that they're barreled in, and hopefully something comes in and they snatch it up. Let's keep going with this video though.
So the locals say the ball pythons are most active after the sun goes down. And as you can tell, that's getting really close. I'm gonna keep poking around because you might have some early risers and you never know, but it's almost time. Almost. Oh. Right here. A ball python! Wow, this thing is het for awesome. We're so familiar with these animals as pets in the States, but they do have a special place here in their own culture. In Ghana, there's actually a village that worships them as gods. And here in Togo, there were some villages that made their entire living catching these animals for export. They would catch the females, harvest the eggs, send those off to the United States, and then that was where their income came from. Now that the market's basically crashed because we have so many captive bred ball pythons back in the States, that's led to them skinning them instead, which is really tragic that these snakes are getting skinned. And the result of the skinning is now the farmers are having a much bigger rodent problem with mice.
All right. So, like I assumed, I think having these ball pythons in captivity, the way we do our in-house breeding, I think, it's saving ball pythons. It's because in Africa, Ghana, where they come from, you gotta think these tribes you can't just go, they're probably just eating rice and whatever meat that they can catch. So be rice and ball python meat or rice and chicken meat. It's not like here in the States where we can just go to the grocery store and get what food we want. And, you know, tribes and places like this, they eat what they catch or they eat what they farm. So I'm pretty sure, you know, that's another predator for ball pythons. That's another risk for it. And by us breeding these snakes, making them better, the genetic pool is awesome. I think if anything ever does go wrong, we have enough ball pythons to, you know, we don't want to see these animals extinct, you know, because I hear back in Ghana and places like, you know, heavenly, like the rainforest, all these type things, the way it was in the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, like, it's not the same. Like, you don't see monkeys or hear birds anymore. I hear like a lot of these things are going extinct because a lot of these tribes, they have to eat, and that's what they're eating. They're eating what they can catch. And I think ball python is just another one of those food sources for them. So, you know, farmers, yeah, they can farm the rice, farm the veggies and all that stuff. They do need a meat product as well. And like he said, they're catching them, skinning them. They was importing them, and that was helping, you know, I don't want to say pay a light bill, but that was helping somebody out there provide for their tribe or family. But yeah, let's get back to this video.
So these snakes play an important role culturally in some spots of West Africa, and they play a really important role in the agriculture and the survival of the people. There's people that have made livings off them, and even today, I think there's farmers that probably don't realize how important they are just to their crop and their harvest. Shy and gentle animal. Snakes have such a bad reputation of mean, aggressive killers. And it's just such a stupid generalization. I'm gonna take my measurements right here, right beside him. Pretty stoked. Temp right now is mid-80s. No surprise, the small rocks have retained more heat than the ground. Their burrows are often more humid than the general habitat around. So watch the snake shed. If it sheds bad, it probably needed a little more humidity. Indented eye caps on the snake, if they kind of have striation to them, it's probably too dry.
Humidity.
One final observation. I think these animals might not require more space to survive, but there's no saying they wouldn't appreciate it. So if you have the room, I'd give them a little bit more.
Yeah, true. You know, they don't need that much room to survive, but the more space, the better. You know, make sure your housing tree is something that, you know, you don't want your ball python in a little space where it can't stretch out if it needed to. You know, even though they, most of the time they stay balled up either over their heat tape, not like on their heat tape, but over where it's more heated at, where the heat tape is at, or they're probably in a more ambient temperature, like in the front of the tub, just because it's too warm back there for right now. Or they might stretch out, give them some room to stretch out, move around a little bit, but I'm pretty sure having these things in captivity in the right enclosures. I really don't like fish tanks, but if that's what you're doing, that's awesome. You know, we'll just at least have a fish tank with either a heat strip, heat wire at the bottom of the tank, and have like a little regulator, something that regulates the heat, so that heat take on a rock. I wouldn't do a heat rock, but wherever the heat source is coming from is regulated, so it only gets up to a certain temperature, and it monitors that temperature just so it doesn't get too hot. You know, burn your snake, the scales, and these just can get ugly. I've seen some ugliness with the heat rocks, but having, you know, keeping them in the right enclosures plays a big part. And I think a lot of these local breeders here in the States are really helping out the snake population, and, you know, ball pythons in general. They're beautiful animals. They're good for educational purposes. You know, you can take them into classrooms, all type of stuff, even though I'm pretty sure they won't like all that attention, the big spotlight. They seem to want to be by themselves. But if you had to do that just to, you know, educate the kids on snakes, ball python is not a bad way to go. But I'm gonna wrap this video up. Go check out this video. I might have the name of it at the bottom, or, you know, whatever. Hope you liked the video. We out of here. Peace out.